Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to our coffee times together. Today I'm here to finish what we started because I'm here to talk to you about the rest of the horror comedies from the 2000s that I like the most. So grab your cups of coffee and let's start.
It's coffee time!
So if you haven't noticed, I have been making videos of the best horror comedies from the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. All of the other ones are going to be listed down below in case you still have not checked them out and would like to. And in this video, we are taking off after my video on the early 2000s horror comedies. So we have the late 2000s, and I found myself here finding some really awesome comedies that, I was surprised because I always have the feeling like the newer horror comedies don't always cut it for me, but I remembered a couple that I had a little bit forgotten about that I really enjoyed and are in this list. The first one though, because the last movie we mentioned in the other video was in 2010, so we are starting off this video with 2011. If you know me, if you've been following me for a little bit, you know that there is a movie from 2011 that is absolutely one of my favorites of all times that I never get tired of watching, and that is The Cabin in the Woods. This movie was nothing like I had expected when I went into it, and it kind of makes fun of the typical tropes of some slasher movies. We have a group of college friends that go into a cabin in the woods, and of course they're only thinking about getting drunk, having sex, all of these nice things that our slasher killers love. And when they get to the cabin, everything starts to be like all of these tropes from slasher horror movies, and then it takes a turn and it just gets better and better, and it gets super funny and super weird, and I absolutely love this movie. So if you're looking for a completely different movie, I would recommend you to check this one out. From 2012, we have John Dies at the End. This is a black comedy combined with a little bit of sci-fi, and we have here a futuristic world in which there is this drug that is being kind of sold so that people can have out-of-body experiences, and it's called on the streets soy sauce. And some of these people come back changed. They're no longer human, and there's also kind of like an otherworldly invasion, and everything, goes to hell, so they are desperate for a hero. And it is a great horror comedy, one of the little ones that actually make me laugh, and definitely a must watch. And also in this year, we still have a couple more movies that came out in 2012. The next one is one that not so many people know of, and that is Grabbers. This is a movie done between the United Kingdom and Ireland. And the fun part about this movie is that we have these monster creatures called grabbers, and the way to survive them is to get drunk. So we follow people, in a pub getting drunk, and everybody, like all the actors, are so approachable. They could be like your neighbor, your family. The only thing that it was kind of weird to me is that in this island where everything takes place, I don't remember seeing children. It's like there's no children there, but it is definitely fun and completely different from anything you've ever seen, and not so many people know about it. So if you haven't checked this one out and you like the premise, you might want to look for it. Another one from the same year, it is Dark Shadows by Tim Burton. This is a dark comedy based on the soap opera by the same name, and it has a great cast. We have Eva Green, Michelle Pfeiffer, Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter. We have Chloe Grace Moretz, and I thought it was funny. I mean, it's not the best movie you will ever see, but I thought it was one of the really witty, funny Tim Burton movies. And it is the story of Barnabas. He is a very old vampire that had an affair, a love relationship with this witch, and then they kind of ended up in a fight, so the witch put him buried down on earth that he couldn't get out of there for centuries. So when he is unburied at the beginning of the movie, he finds himself in a completely different century and he doesn't know how to really get on with life in the modern times. So I don't know, I just thought it was really funny. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you might want to give it a go. And we go from vampires and witches to zombies. In 2013 we have Warm Bodies, and this is kind of like boy meets girl story, kind of like Romeo and Juliet but with zombies. In a scavenger party, there is this zombie called Romeo, that meets this girl called Juliet, and they kind of fall for each other, but obviously their love relationship is hard because he's a zombie and she's a human alive. I don't know, I thought it was really cute. It is based on books. I have not read them yet, but I did watch the movie and I thought it was just really cute. I mean, it's not a movie that it's the best comedy you'll ever see or anything like that, but it's like heartwarming, funny comedy to spend now the time that we all have extra, so you might want to try it. From 2014 we have one of my new favorite movies. I just watched this one last year. I can't believe that I went so long without watching it, and now it's one of my faves because it is just pure gold. And this is The Voices with Ryan Reynolds and Anna Kendrick. We're following Jerry, and he works at a bathtub factory, and you know, he lives with his cat and his dog, and he talks to them every day. He hears their voices in his head all the time, and he is planning to approach his crush, and he finally, you know, gets to go on a date with her, but things, you know, start to go really bad from there on. And it is a very gory, fun movie. Like, I just love this movie. This is exactly my type of humor. And this is a movie that I could rewatch anytime, and I just thought it was fantastic. So definitely, if you're gonna take one from this list, I think between Cabin in the Woods and this one, those are the two that I would really ask you to check out. Also from 2014 we have What We Do in the Shadows. This is a New Zealand mockumentary about vampires, and it is basically a group of flatmates, and you know, they're vampires. They live in Wellington and they're kind of trying to adapt to modern life, being the undead beings that they are. And this is one of the funny vampire comedies. Not all of them work for me, but I just thought that this one was really good, and it has had a lot of good critics and a lot of people really enjoy this movie. So if you're looking for a vampire comedy, this might be the one to go to. Another one from the same year is a Canadian movie, kind of superhero movie. I think it's put like that in IMDb, and this is one that it's really silly, okay, but it is enjoyable, and that is Wolf Cop. So we're following this police officer that, because he's been cursed, he's been turned now into a werewolf, but he keeps his human intelligence. It's just on the body of this wolf, and he's allowed to keep performing his, you know, police duties, being a werewolf. So there's that. And this is just a silly comedy, but it might be perfect for the dark times that we are experiencing now, just to keep our minds, you know, distracted from everything. From 2015 we have Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. This is one of the newest ones that I really enjoyed, even though I thought it was gonna be just too typical for me, but I actually really love this one because it takes all the tropes and makes it super fun. Like the title says, we're following some Boy Scouts that find themselves in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, so they have to fight against it. And we have all the typical guys, you know, we have the hero, the fun guy, the fat guy, the pretty girl. It's all of these typical things put together, a lot of tropes, but I really love the all the death scenes. I thought it was bloody enough. I thought it was a lot of fun, and definitely one of those great zombie comedies. From 2015 we have Deathgasm, a must horror comedy for people that love heavy metal like I do. And we have these two teenagers that perform these kind of black magic ritual, and they awaken this ancient evil entity called the Blind One. It is fun. This one might not be for everybody, but I thought it was really refreshing and I really enjoyed it. From 2016 we have Better Watch Out. This is a Christmas based movie that I watched last Christmas, and I really enjoyed it. My only criticism to this movie is that I would have liked for the deaths to be more explicit, like to be more shown in camera. And this is about a kid, a 12-year-old kid that, you know, gets a babysitter for the night, and they start to hear noises and doors open, like they start to feel like somebody's trying to get into the house, so it turns into kind of like fear of home invasion. But the whole movie is full of twists and turns, and it was a lot of fun. Especially I love the neighbor. Shout out to the boy, he was everything in this movie. So I know it's spring right now, but you know, I had to include this one on the list because it's a really cool Christmas horror comedy. And we go from one babysitter story to the next one, because in 2017 Netflix brought out the movie The Babysitter, featuring Samara Weaving, that also has another movie coming in this list. I love that she's doing all of these horror movies. I think she's a really good actress. And in this movie we have again a babysitter that goes to take care of this kid, and while she thinks that the kid is already asleep, she has a couple of friends over, and what is supposed to be just a gathering of friends turns into something more dark and macabre that this kid could have ever imagined. And this one was a lot of fun, and the deaths were pretty bloody and gory and amazing. From 2017 we have Tragedy Girls. We have two teenage crime reporters that are after the serial killer, and actually they end up catching him. But when they do, they think it would be great for boosting their social media to, instead of, you know, report him to the police or something, just to keep doing the crimes themselves. This movie I have not heard so much of, so I don't know if a lot of people know this movie, but if you were unaware of its existence, I would definitely recommend you to give it a try. And from the same year we have a movie that, you know, was very popular when it came out and I really enjoyed, and that is Happy Death Day. I'm only going to talk about the first one because the second one for me was lacking horror. So the first one is a pure horror comedy, and we're following the story of a college student that finds herself waking up every day in the same day. It's her birthday, and at the end of the day she always gets killed and wakes up again at her birthday, and it just goes on in a loop. And I thought it was genius. I thought it was super fun. I really loved it. I loved the mask that the killer wears. I just thought it was hilarious. And the first one is definitely one that I would always like to rewatch. From 2018 we have You Might Be the Killer, and one of the reasons why I wanted to watch the movie is because Alison Hannigan is in this one, and she was Willow in Buffy, and I will always love her and treasure her. In this movie though, we are following a camp counselor that is having problem with memory loss, and then one day he realizes that he can see murder victims, and he goes to his best friend that knows everything about horror movies and asks him for help. So we're getting to the end of the list. The last two movies are from 2019. The first one is one of my favorite horror movies that came out in 2019, and that is Ready or Not. In this movie we have again Samara Weaving in the main role, and she's playing a character called Grace, and she's about to marry her boyfriend. So she's about to marry, you know, the man of her life, and he's gonna join the family. However, the family is a little bit peculiar. They have built their whole empire and money on, you know, board games. And so after they marry that day, they ask her to, you know, play a game with them, and for that she needs to pick a card to see which game they're gonna play, and obviously she picks the wrong card and it all turns into a hide and seek kind of game, and it gets really stupid. It gets really just bloody and good, and I just thought it was so genius. It was really refreshing, and even though most of the movie takes place in this house where they're playing the game, it never gets boring, it never gets repetitive, and the bunch of magnificent characters are just fantastic. I really loved every single character in this movie, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And the last one is another zombie movie on this list, and that is The Dead Don't Die. And this movie had such a huge amount of, you know, well-known actors that I'm gonna read the names for you because else I will forget half of them. We have Bill Murray, Adam Driver, Chloe Sevigny, Steve Buscemi, Tilda Swinton, Tom Waits, Danny Glover, Caleb Landry Jones, Rosie Perez, Carol Kane, and Selena Gomez. So we're following basically a small town police department, and they find themselves fighting against the zombie apocalypse. I think the fact that we have so many well-known actors and it's such a fun take, like an ironic take on the zombie movies, it worked for me. So if you're looking for a newer zombie comedy, this might be the one for you. And these are all the movies that I wanted to mention for you in this video about the late 2000s horror comedies. Let me know down below if there's any other ones that you would like to add to this list. Which is your favorite one from this time period? Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please give the video a big thumbs up for support. And if you want to follow me into the social media, the links are all down below. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!